Hi there, I'm Dr. Ryan Outchard coming to you from HealthOut Fitness here in Vancouver, BC. We're bringing health and fitness together here to keep you healthy and keep you in the game. So some of you are still having trouble getting your arms over your head in this flexion plane right here. So I'm going to walk you through just a couple self-release moves that you can do through the lats, the rotator cuff area, all this area here, so that it helps you get your arms over your head even easier, and perhaps make it the process of stretching out those shoulder extension muscles a little quicker. So I'm going to show you a little picture. Here we go. Now, here's the lat muscle right here. We're going to focus on doing some massage and stretching for that muscle, as well as these muscles here that go up and attach to the top of the humerus. These are your rotator cuff muscles, also the teres major muscle right here. So basically, we're going to draw a line from the top of your arm, right? If your arm's sticking out to the side, we're going to draw a line from there, and this top little kind of spine of your scapula here, we're going to go all the way down and try and release all this stuff here so that you can get your arms over your head just a little bit easier. Here's a couple of the different tools that I'll use to do that. Something smaller, like a lacrosse ball, is quite popular these days. I personally prefer this one for most of the release work. It's a softball, and you can get any density of these is fine. You can get a training version of a lacrosse ball that's softer, and same thing with softballs. You can get something softer, even inflatable versions of a ball this size or even a little bit bigger. Can be a nice starting point if you're quite sensitive. And even the foam roll can be great underneath the armpit area as well. So just going to kind of show you quickly where this is on your own bodies. So here we go. All right, so here's my lat muscle right here, right? I can grab onto it right here. If I reach up to my armpit, my fingers end up on my lat muscle, okay? Now, my fingers, where they end, if I grab onto this whole muscle like this is the lat. And then if I kind of just focus where my fingers are here, that's actually where your rotator cuff starts. So your rotator cuff is going to sit right below the spine of your scapula, which is right up in here, and it's going to go down to the end of your scapula. If you reach down and find the bottom of that little shoulder blade bone, it's right there. So you're going to go right in here with the ball, and then in order to get the lat, you're going to go all the way down into the back through here. And the top of that rotator cuff muscle, if you feel the top part of your shoulder blade, you'll feel a spine of it. Here it is right here. You feel this bone that kind of slides along here. And you go right underneath it with your fingers, and that's where you're going to feel, some people get quite tender through there, and those muscles will get hypertonic, and they almost need to be reset sometimes. If you can get in there and release them, all of a sudden the inside of the joint can glide properly. Not only does it become more flexible from a kind of a larger perspective of the muscles just restricting the movement this way, but inside the joint it's going to glide better like this. So that's partly why you're doing this. All right, so again, if you just put your hand on your armpit and go to that kind of center part of the armpit, and then just go to the back side of it, and you'll find the highest point of the muscles behind the armpit. That's your lat muscles. We're going to start with those. You're going to lay on your side. Now if you have any pain in your shoulder, you're much better off to just have a physical therapist walk you through this, or anybody who knows what they're doing. And preferably you'd actually have your arm up high like this, but if that's painful, then you can just have your hand down lower. So I'm going to get this ball right at the high point of that muscle like I was talking about. So it's right behind the midpoint of your armpit, and that's just a nice easy starting point. You don't have to move around a lot. You can just find a spot that feels tender, hang out there until it starts to let go, and then move to a different spot. So maybe somewhere between 15 to 30 seconds per location. Now from here, the lat muscle, like I said, is a huge muscle. So you can work all the way down, right? All the way down into my ribs. The lat muscle goes, as you saw in that picture that I showed you at the start of the video, the lat muscle goes all the way down, connects to the thoracolumbar fascia, way down into the lower back even. So you can get right down low, and you're basically just kind of looking for spots that feel like that. Spots that feel like they're a little bit rigid. And you can do tests, so you can do a little bit of release work for about a minute, and then just stand up and lift those arms over the head and see how it feels. If you find a spot that really helps you feel like you can move your arms more freely, then you've probably found the right spot. So you can go back to that spot and work on it a little bit more, and then in the future, you know you can go after that spot the next day or 2 days later, and it's going to help you get more improvements in your flexibility quicker. So, like I said, you're going to work all the way down low. You can work up right up to the attachment point of that muscle, which is right into the armpit almost. And it's still that kind of high point, right? That high point of the muscle that's behind the armpit. So there's the armpit. Here's my lat muscle. It's going up and it's attaching right in to the top of my arm bone here. Now, the rotator cuff is a little bit different, and you're going to find that you get really great results by working. And remember, I said it's kind of back in here. If I reach above and touch the spine of the shoulder blade, that's where I'm trying to go below. Okay, so I've kind of got my fingers on it now. I'm going to try and find that point again, but laying on the floor. So I'm going to be laying on my back a little bit more this time. And when you find it, you'll know it. You might need to, it helps to have good ab strength, or you could even be kind of holding on to something. Say you have like a strap that's attached to something in that way, just to kind of unweight yourself if you feel like you don't have the ab strength to be able to hold yourself up and prevent yourself from leaning too much on the ball. Or like I said, just have a softer ball so that it's not quite as aggressive. And again, all you should really need to do is just kind of hang out and let that muscle slowly become a little less, it's not going to fight you as much as you just kind of hang out. The ischemic release just kind of causes the muscle to tense up a little bit at first, and then it slowly lets go and you move on to the next spot. So I'm just going to move, and you can move ever so slightly to a new spot. And it's still, just try to visualize that picture I showed you when I started the video, where you could imagine kind of this kind of whole area below where the top spine of that shoulder blade is, all the way down into the lower back. And you're really trying to work all those different spots. So it might take some patience just for you to kind of explore your muscles in your back a little bit, and you know, you'll gradually get more used to doing this. Again, you probably don't need to move around that much. When you are working the rotator cuff portion here, you could kind of move your hand in and out like this. And so what that will do is it'll actually just kind of subtly move that muscle that you're actually trying to work. It'll kind of just slide it over top of that point where you're massaging. So I usually use those release moves first, and then you can go and do your lat stretches. So do your flexion stretch like this, or one at a time like this. And I would suggest you do a contract, relax. So I'm going to push down into the ball for 5, and then I'll relax and just kind of fall a tiny little bit further for 5. And especially if you're one of those people that has trouble getting into that position without feeling a pinch, you should find that doing this release work first helps you get to the point where you can come back to that stretch, and maybe you don't go quite as hard into it like you did before. Maybe I just need to be here in order to feel a stretch through here, right? And then again, push down into the ball for 5. And then I'll bend this left elbow, keeping my upper body nice and square towards the floor, sinking down a little bit more for 5, right? And you don't want to feel any discomfort up here, or pinching in the top of the shoulder when you stretch out that lat muscle. So you really want to feel like you're getting most of the stretch through here. And like I said, that self-release work, go back to the self-release work a little bit, and then try the stretch, and then try a different spot with the self-release, and then try the stretch. And hopefully you can feel which self-release moves, because there's a lot of area to cover back here. You can kind of find out which of those areas help you get the arm over the head a little bit easier. So I hope that helps you maybe speed up the process with improving your flexibility so that you can do some of these overhead activities easier. And once again, don't just work out, health out. Thank you.